So, hi there, and welcome to this week's podcast of Happiness is an Inside Job. And I hope you've been keeping well and, above all else, treating yourself well since our last podcast. So, today we're going to kick off talking about habits and why sometimes when we have a habit that we really want to break, a behaviour or a pattern, why we keep returning to the same things, and then we end up feeling out of control, or we've no willpower, or we've no motivation. So we're going to look at that from two angles and, try and get us to, and myself, some way further along the road of changing up into the new positive habits that we want. So first off, guys, we know that repetition is the mother of all learning. Repetition is going from having it in our conscious mind, something we have to consciously think about, like, say, if you decided tomorrow you're going to write with the opposite hand. When you start that out, it's a hot mess, it feels uncomfortable, it doesn't look the way you want it to. But if you continue that for an hour a day and continued with that habit, repeating it each day, in a week or 2 weeks' time, you've built in that habit. You've built in a new neural pathway, and you are now writing from the new hand. Well, you've always had that hand, but you're writing with a different hand. So you continue doing that over a few weeks, and over time, that stops having to be something you consciously think about, and a habit that's built into your subconscious mind that you naturally do. You pick up that pen and you just write away without a thought, writing away the way you used to do with your other hand. So that is how our habits get in there, and then they go into our subconscious mind and they run as a pattern. So then if we want to break habits, that requires conscious thinking. And if we want to break a negative habit, be it eating, smoking, drinking too much, whatever it is, we first have to consciously think to start breaking the pattern that habit is running. So the first step is looking at when that habit is showing up. Most of the habits we have that we try to break and fail is a couple of big reasons. One is we believe we're getting something from that habit. Be it we see it as a reward, we see it as relaxation, we see it as our self-care or our downtime. We still believe we are getting something good from that, or it's keeping us in our comfort zone. If we've made a promise to ourselves that we're going to join a gym, and every day we say we're going to the gym, and every day we don't actually show up at that gym. Looking at what it is you're telling yourself that you're not showing up. One, you've probably like a bit the little comfort zone you've built for yourself where you don't have to go, you don't have to exercise. You're telling yourself, if I walk in, I'll look different to everybody else in there. I'll embarrass myself. I can't use the machines. These are all the things that your brain will throw at you to keep you within your comfort zone. Your brain loves the familiar. It's safe. It's comfortable. That's why it's known as the comfort zone. For you to grow and change and reach the goals you want to reach, you have to come out of that beautiful comfort zone and do something that at the beginning makes you feel uncomfortable. That's growth. It's like that example I gave of the writing. When you first start writing with the new hand, you feel a bit odd, awkward, trying to hold the pen, trying to figure out what way to hold it, because it's different, it's new. And there's a chunk of you that wants to move back to using the other hand, that you'll fly along doing. You're grand, that you'll write at 3 times the speed. But if you want the new skill and the new goal, you have to be uncomfortable for a bit of time to build in that new habit. And when you get over your own discomfort and just repeat, as they say, rinse and repeat, then over a bit of time, you do build in a new neural pathway for that habit, and that habit becomes as comfortable as the previous habit. But it's stepping over the discomfort in between to get you there. And that is where we can tend to fall down with change. And that is where we can get stuck. We give in to our own discomfort. We give in to that voice in our head that's saying to us, sure, it's easier to sit on the sofa. It's easier to keep doing what I'm doing. And therefore, we don't even try. Or, we've a case of the tomorrows. Do you know what? I don't have the motivation today. I'll do it tomorrow. Motivation comes in taking action. It isn't a bus that's going to pull in outside your house and go, hi, yeah, we're taking you to motivation. Hop on, that's €2. It doesn't work like that. Motivation comes in taking the first step. When we take the first step, we get those good feels, we get those good emotions, we get a little smidge of confidence running in our system, we get that bit of energy, and that drives us to take the next step. And then over time, it's those small little steps that you take that build in that new habit. And it's stepping over that voice in your head that's telling you, I've tried this before, you've done this before and failed, you've tried breaking this habit, you've tried building in this new habit. That is your comfort zone talking. That is your comfort zone wanting to keep you where you are. And what you need front and center in front of you is your why. Why am I doing this? What's my reasons? What is it I want to achieve? And have that beautiful picture, very detailed in front of you, of why you want to build in this new habit. Take losing weight as an example. How do you want to feel when you've lost that weight? What do you want to look like? What's it going to feel like for you walking into a room? How are you going to feel dressed up every day and dressing yourself, getting up? What types of food are you going to be eating? How is it going to positively impact your life going forward? What are the whys? And building that picture and having that front and center, that's the thing that'll drive motivation and keep you moving towards that new habit. But having your why front and center, and it needs to be about you. It needs to be your why. It cannot be, I am losing weight because my partner wants, or my friend wants, or whoever or whatever it is, or it has to be about you. You have to care enough about yourself to step past your own comfort zone. So here we go, folks. Steps for new habits. First off is recognizing your old pattern and seeing it as your old pattern. Seeing where it shows up. When are you triggered for this habit to kick in? Be it eating poorly, not sticking to the new goals, the new plans. When is that pattern showing up? Is it at weekends? Is it when you're around friends? Is it when you're going home? What's going on? What are you feeling? What's triggering that pattern? That's the first step, finding what your pattern is. Next off, changing up your self-talk. Stop telling yourself you're out of control. This is just a pattern. It's not who you are. You run many of them and you brought it in. You can change it anytime you choose. It's choice. Next up is plan in new rituals. If you're doing the exact same things each day and not expecting those old triggers to kick in, you're setting yourself up for a bit of a battle. If you're sitting on the sofa at the same time each evening but telling yourself you're not going to eat the same things, you're triggering the cues. If you're doing the same thing at the same time you normally eat that bad food, you're triggering those patterns to kick in. So change up some of the behaviours surrounding that pattern after you recognise it. If you deem it as a reward, whatever it is that you're doing, be it food, smoking, drinking, staying up late at night, plan in new rewards. What are the bigger things that you want to achieve? Where's this goal going to get you? And plan in small little milestones and have new things built in that actually do make you feel good. Build them into your everyday, and bearing in mind that change takes time. What we can do to ourselves is we can have 5, 6, 7 good days, good hours, and one where, we hit a little bit of a speed bump, and then we can be completely emotionally hijacked by ourselves and dive into epic failure. And, throw all our toys out of pram and start, chomping away and being angry at ourselves. And that re-kicks in the old pattern again. So building in an 80-20, that if you're brilliant and carrying on with the new habit 80% of the time, you're doing absolutely amazing. Allow yourself room to change. Allow yourself room to learn. You can't know everything you're going to hit building a new habit that you haven't learned yet. You can't know what obstacles you're going to come up against till you come up against them. And it's every time you come up against something that's an obstacle, it's then learning to continue with your changes through that. That's a marker of new change. That's how we build in habits. And every time we feel uncomfortable, our brain will give us an out. Our brain will look out the window and go, it's raining. Oh, it's probably going to rain in 2 hours. Best not do that. Every single time, our brain will find an out for us. It's recognizing that. And once your mind figures out that you're not going to quit something, it will find the path of least resistance to take you to where you want to go. It will do that for you. Your brain is there to serve you. So quietening down, recognizing your own discomfort and seeing it as just that. I'm uncomfortable because this is new, but this is where I want to go with this. And once we start changing that and controlling the emotions that we're feeling around that, okay, I feel uncomfortable. What does that feel like in my system? I feel a little bit fluttery. I feel uncomfortable. I feel a little like I can't do this. Then you remind yourself of all the wins you've already had. And instead of setting one big goal of, in a year's time, I want to be here, set yourself a system. Set yourself habits that you've to do every day, little bits and pieces to get you where you want to go. Be it changing up your self-talk, saying your affirmations, not being in the same place at the same time that triggers that habit. Building in new small things into each and every day. And every time you do them, that's success. That's building it in rather than chasing a goal that's a year down the line. That is, that gives you 365 days to have 200 bad ones, So changing up your system, building in a system rather than a goal, and aiming to keep your systems in place every day and keep moving forward with your systems. And every time you achieve them, giving yourself a high five, being proud of yourself for those things, because a goal is a one-time thing, where systems are the journey that take you there. They're the actual road. So building in systems to get you where you want to go is where you want to be to change habits. And that's what's shifting your mindset every day. That's what's building in that success. And that's what's keeping the mindset growing and moving you towards those goals. So what is mindset? Mindset effectively is the settings of our mind, the programs that we have built in there that are running subconsciously. Mindset is our thinking pattern or our frame of mind. And building in new habits is training in new thinking patterns. That is how we grow. And the willingness to be uncomfortable and step into those changes is a huge part of our growth. And building a growth mindset has a huge impact on our emotional well-being. So it's so worthwhile, not only for the habit that we want to change, but us understanding that we can allow our mind to grow and expand, and it hugely influences our well-being and how we feel about ourselves, our confidence and our self-worth. So changing up new habits and moving forward has great benefits overall. And it stems back again to just building in new, smaller systems and doing these every day. And every day that you're doing these, that is changing how you're thinking. Every time you're saying to yourself, okay, I did that little habit today. tick, 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 success, success, success. And that's building in a positive mindset. And the more we're doing this and reaching those little mini successes every day, doing those new habits, the more that is building on to a more positive growth mindset. And the more you're doing this in your smaller habits, that's where we start to see the bigger changes, because we love how this makes us feel and we love those hits. And that's where we're moving towards those feelings of joy and happiness, as opposed to those little dopamine hits that we were potentially getting from the old habits. And that's what was keeping us where we were with those. So what we'll do is now, guys, is take a peep at those all important dopamine hits and how they show up in our lives and how to shift away from them to keep us moving forward and towards those actual real habits, goals and desires that we want to achieve. How is dopamine negatively impacting that? So the all important dopamine. We build in our own reward systems, and what we deem as a reward to ourselves, what we've decided is a reward, is what triggers dopamine in our system. The release of dopamine, the release of endorphins, that reward feeling. And what can happen is, if we've trained our brain to believe that the things we don't want are dopamine hits, that's why we stay in those habits. Like, say, having a McDonald's. Say that's where you get your dopamine hits from, or one of the places you get your dopamine hits from. It isn't actually having and eating, physically eating that McDonald's that gives you the dopamine hits. It's actually before you eat it is when you release the dopamine. And it's this system built, this habit built within our system, and that dopamine being released is what keeps us in our old habits, because that's what we're chasing. It's not the food that we're chasing, it's the dopamine hit we get from allowing ourselves to have the food. And our systems, our dopamine hit systems, tend to be built around scrolling aimlessly through media, watching TV and numbing out. Porn is another one. Constantly checking our phones. We get dopamine hits from constantly checking our phones. So rather than, we've all probably had incidents in our life, or times in our lives, or maybe we're in the habit where you see yourself, you're doing one activity, you're watching the TV, or you're talking to, and you have this urge to constantly keep checking your phone and wondering, why do I need to you're getting a dopamine hit. So one brilliant thing you could do, along with building in your new habits, is break some of the old ones you're getting dopamine hits from. They don't serve you. Checking your phone 1,000 times a day does not serve you. It does not bring you towards the goal that you want to achieve. In fact, you get a bit of emptiness from it. It's just a quick second hit you're getting. Whereas if what the goal you're chasing is going to bring you actual joy, going to bring you confidence, going to make you feel good and happy within yourself, that's where you want to be going. So detoxing yourself from some of your dopamine hits is brilliant for letting go of the old and moving you towards where you want to be. So just taking one thing that you're aware of after I said it, be it the internet, your phone, computer, junk food, these are all sources of dopamine hits, and shifting them up to the likes of being around your family, getting out in the fresh air for a walk, doing the things that are bringing you towards your goal, building in the new systems. And while you're building in the new, taking out some of the habits and patterns of the dopamine hits, removing them, because they're the things that'll keep triggering you. So moving yourself away from them and towards the things that you want to be achieving, because we can have a life built on dopamine hits and then wonder why we feel so unsatisfied, or why we have to keep doing the same mindless things, because we're just getting hit after hit. And the more we build them in, the more we need to get the same hit. It's like an addiction. So we need more and more and more and more of that one thing to get the dopamine hit that we need from it. and none of it is serving us anyway. So when you're building in the new habit, look at some of the things you can drop if they're showing up a lot in your life. As I say, like the picking up the phone 1,000 times, or every time it lights up, checking it and rechecking it, and then opening that message that you know you don't need to open, and then going down that rabbit hole, starting to wipe that out as you're building your new systems and habits in, brings you far more closer to the goals and dreams that you want, but also wipes out some of the things that just aren't serving you in your life. And all of this plays a huge part in moving you towards where you want to be, because as we say, happiness is an inside job and it begins with you, and that starts with changing up some of the habits that just aren't serving you and letting them go, and building in the ones that take you towards your dreams and goals because you deserve it. So that's it for me for this week, guys. I hope you really enjoyed it and got some fabulous takeaways. And as always, I invite you to connect in with me across social media, or check me out on my website, www.yourgifttoyou.com, or email me, linda@yourgifttoyou.com, guys, because I'd love to hear from you, and any topics you'd like for us to talk about, or any more learnings that you want. And please remember, give me those reviews, because it keeps the podcast getting out there to more people. So chat to you very soon, guys. Bye bye.